As an ultimate test of his willpower, a man decided to give up sex for Lent. His wife was not thrilled, but she agreed to support him. The first 3 weeks were not too difficult. The next couple of weeks became much harder. To help him resist temptation, the wife started wearing her dowdiest nightclothes. She even chewed on garlic before going to bed. The final weeks were extremely difficult for the husband. The wife went so far as to lock the bedroom door and made him sleep on the couch. Easter morning finally arrived. There was a knock on the bedroom door. Knock, knock. Guess who? I know who it is. Guess what I want? I know what you want. Guess what I'm knocking with? A businessman was preparing for a long work trip and worried about leaving his very flirtatious wife alone for weeks. Wanting to keep her occupied, he visited a shop that sold adult toys and looked around. He spoke with the elderly man behind the counter and explained his problem. The man mentioned vibrating toys and attachments, then hesitated. Pressed for answers, the shopkeeper finally revealed a secret item called the voodoo penis. He pulled out an ancient wooden box covered in strange carvings. Inside was an ordinary-looking toy, which made the businessman laugh. The old man told him to watch closely. He pointed and commanded, "Voodoo penis, the door." The object flew from the box and violently attacked the door until the man ordered it back. Convinced, the businessman bought it for $500. At home, he explained to his wife how to use it. All she had to say was, "Voodoo penis, my crotch." After he left on his trip, a few days passed and temptation set in. She opened the box and spoke the command. The experience was unbelievable. After several overwhelming orgasms, she tried to stop it. She could not. It kept going and would not come out. Panicking, she got dressed and drove toward the hospital. Every movement triggered another reaction. One intense moment caused her to swerve, and a police officer pulled her over. The officer asked if she had been drinking. Barely able to speak, she blurted out, "I haven't had anything to drink, officer. I've got this voodoo penis thing stuck in my crotch and it won't stop screwing me." The officer stared, shook his head, and replied, "Voodoo penis? Voodoo penis my ass." A fireman came home from work one evening and proudly told his wife that they had a great system at the fire station. "We have a wonderful system at the fire station. Bell 1 rings and we put on our jackets. Bell 2 rings and we slide down the pole. Bell 3 rings and we are on the fire trucks." He smiled and added, "From now on, we are going to run this house the same way. When I say bell 1, I want you to strip naked. When I say bell 2, I want you to jump into bed. When I say bell 3, we are going to make passionate love." The next night, the fireman came home and shouted, "Bell 1. His wife immediately took off her clothes. "Bell 2. She jumped into bed. "Bell 3. They started making love. After 2 minutes, his wife suddenly yelled, "Bell 4. Confused, the fireman asked, "Huh? What's bell 4? She replied, "More hose. You're nowhere near the fire." A man and his wife were arguing about who should make the coffee each morning. The wife said, "You should do it because you get up first, and then we don't have to wait so long for coffee." The husband replied, "You are in charge of the cooking around here, so you should do it." "That's your job, and I can just wait for my coffee." The wife shook her head and said, "No, you should do it. Besides, it says in the Bible that the man should do the coffee." The husband laughed and said, "What? I can't believe that." "Show me." So she went and got the Bible, opened the New Testament, and pointed to the top of several pages where it clearly said, Hebrews. Late one night, an elderly couple sat quietly in their living room listening to the radio. The husband was feeling run down, and the wife was suffering constant pain from arthritis. As they listened, the booming preacher's voice suddenly came over the airwaves. He promised that he could heal any affliction through prayer. All listeners had to do was place one hand on the radio and the other on whatever ailed them. The wife grew excited and nudged her husband. She told him the preacher could heal them. He was doubtful at first, but after she insisted, he finally agreed to try. They slowly moved closer to the radio. Each placed one hand on it. The wife rested her other hand on her aching knee. The husband, without a word, placed his free hand on his crotch. The wife looked over at him, confused, and said, "The man said he could heal the sick, not raise the dead." Three friends were driving around town in a flashy sports car, laughing and having a great time. That fun ended when the driver tried to drift through a busy downtown intersection and lost control. The car slammed into a tree, killing all three of them instantly. Sometime later, they found themselves at an orientation before entering heaven. They were asked a single question. When you are lying in your casket and your friends and family are mourning over you, what would you like to hear them say about you? The first man answered, "I would like to hear them say that I was a great doctor of my time and a devoted family man." The second man said, "I would like to hear that I was a wonderful husband and a school teacher who made a difference in the lives of children." The third man replied, "Look, he's moving." Three newlywed couples checked into a hotel to celebrate their honeymoons. The man at the front desk had a little game he liked to play. Whenever a couple arrived, he would ask the bride about her profession and quietly guess how the honeymoon would turn out. The first couple checked in, and the clerk asked the bride what she did for a living. She said she was a maid. The clerk smiled to himself, thinking this groom was in for a great honeymoon. The second couple arrived, and the bride said she was a nurse. The clerk thought that was even better and assumed this honeymoon would be even more exciting. Finally, the third couple checked in. When asked about her job, the bride replied that she was a high school teacher. The clerk sighed inwardly and figured this groom was in for a long, boring night. About an hour later, the first groom came down to the lobby to grab some food. The clerk asked why he was not upstairs with his bride. The groom replied that she insisted on cleaning the entire room first. Another hour passed, and the second groom appeared. When asked the same question, he explained that every time he tried to get close, his wife told him he was not clean enough. The clerk expected the third groom to come down shortly after. But hours passed. Near the end of his shift, the third groom finally appeared, completely exhausted. The clerk asked if he had managed to get any sleep. The groom replied, "We're going to do this again and again until you get it right."